This is what Joe Rogan missed about NeuroLink's dark reveal. This is a new segment that I'm doing a few times a week called What Joe Rogan Missed, because there's so many things that he just doesn't get to pick up on. And NeuroLink, what they've announced, is one of those things. Let me just give you a little taste.
Kart it's cool. You know, you're using one joystick and then you're clicking like a couple of buttons to throw items. What would be even cooler is what if you could control two joysticks at once simultaneously with your mind? What I'm about to show you, and I think this is for the first time someone playing a first-person shooter game with a brain-computer interface. This is Alex and RJ playing Call of Duty, controlling one joystick to move and then the other joystick to point your gun and then shooting people as a button. Here's Alex shooting another person.
Right. Oh dear God.
Oh, that was good.
I know I do, and I want him to freaking shoot him wrong, but I do.
RJ, Alex got you.
I know, dude. Shot me in the face.
So this is two NeuroLink patients playing Call of Duty. Now, that's not so dark. It's actually pretty wholesome because these guys couldn't move before and they couldn't play games quite like this. And they're having a great experience that they thought they would never have again. That's fine. As the video goes on, it gets progressively darker. And the last reveal is something that Joe Rogan has talked about when he says he thinks we're going to be the last people, and something that I've disagreed with him and everybody who's a proponent for AI just running amok. Yeah, it gets progressively darker. If your tinfoil Speedo is not on right now, why isn't it on? Joe Rogan has said avidly. That's a tinfoil Speedo look. He has said he thinks that we're going to be the last people. He says he thinks that this is just what evolution is, that we're supposed to just evolve into these beings that make AI and make robots so that can become, as he puts it, a god. Now, this is something that you guys know I push back on all the time. I do not think that we as people have the ability to make gods. Man, and I do not like the fact that it's going to displace billions of people in the terms of their work and their purpose. I don't like that whole thing. But with what with what NeuroLink is talking about, he just might be right about this whole thing. Again, the predictions get progressively darker. Now, Joe Rogan has already talked to somebody who was a NeuroLink participant. This is Nolan. He was one of the first. He was just working it all out. I'll let you hear a little bit of this, and then we're just going to jump over to the actual announcements that NeuroLink is making. Going to have some Elon Musk in there as well. But the last prediction is the darkest. Stay tuned for it.
Train it to learn that's what I want it to do, to go left. So there will be like a visual on the screen that says, like move your hand to the left, and then they will train that left movement to left on the cursor control. But that visual could be anything. It could be like do a little jig and that'll move it to the left. Like anything that it can do, anything you can do, I mean, it can learn and you can map that to anything.
So does this include facial movements? Does it?
Yeah.
So you could like move it with your nose?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like we haven't tried anything like that. We haven't tried, a lot of stuff. This is very, very, it's still very new. So there are things that, we're working on what works well at this point. So like a lot of it is like my right hand stuff. We have mapped a lot of things to like individual fingers, hand movements in general, but we've done like left hand stuff. We've done like foot kick stuff, and it doesn't look like the signals are as good, but that also might be just due to the fact that some of the threads are pulled out. So when they fix that issue with the next people, then those things would be much, much better. And if that's the case, then you could theoretically do multiple things at once. It's not just, you map, say, my right hand to the cursor control, then you map my fingers and my other hand and my toes to like key control. So I could be moving the cursor and typing at the same time with my toes or something.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot to explore with this.
That's so interesting that it's tied to your mind telling different parts of your body to move. I'm very ignorant to this stuff. I thought like you were just using your mind and telling the cursor to go around.
Yeah, so it's something that is true. So it's something that we differentiate. there are what are called attempted movements and imagined movements. So at the very beginning, I did a lot of attempted movement. Attempted movement is just what it sounds like. I attempt to move my hand in a certain direction. I attempt to move my fingers, like lift your finger up, down, left, right. I attempt to do something, and then the algorithm will take that and translate it to cursor control. But what I realized maybe a few weeks in was that I could just think cursor, go here, and it would move. That it blew my mind when that happened for the first time. Like I said, with everything going on in my brain, all of it still works. All the signals are still there. Like I think something to try to move, and the
Now, I just want you guys to take this in, right? This is Nolan. This was his appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience. But when did this come out? June 20th, almost to the day. Wow. June 20th, 2024. So a year ago, this blew his mind that he was able to do this. And then all of a sudden, we are a year later and he's playing Call of Duty. Well, he's not, but the next people that he talked about are playing Call of Duty with their mind. It's not blowing their mind at all that they can just move around like this. Now, I want you to remember what we're talking about here, about him being able to think and then move something, how crazy that was, them being able to do this, because I want to talk about what that evolves into, but you need to know the rest of what's going on. So let's play this first clip where Elon Musk is basically talking about seeing the unseen. Let's go.
And that enables someone who has lost the ability to command their body to be able to communicate with a computer and move the mouse and actually operate a computer with roughly the same dexterity, ultimately much more dexterity than a human with working hands. Then our next product is Blind Sight, which will enable those who have total loss of vision, including if they've lost their eyes or the optic nerve, or maybe have never seen, were blind, even blind from birth, to be able to see again. Initially low resolution, but ultimately very high resolution, and then in multiple wavelengths. So you could be like Geordi LaForge in Star Trek, and you can see in radar, you can see in infrared, ultraviolet, superhuman capabilities, cybernetic enhancement, essentially. And then
Now you have to understand what he just said. You're going to be able to see what right now people can't see in ways right now that you and I cannot see. This is just the second iteration, right? So how does that actually, what does that look like years from now? Well, this might move into being able to see the unseen. Now think about it. There is a whole world around us that we can't actually see. And I'm not talking about angels and demons. I'm just talking about there are color spectrums that we cannot comprehend. We have a very small little spectrum. One of those rainbows, as we've seen so many throughout this month. One of those. We have that type of spectrum. But all of a sudden now it's going to be broadened. So it makes me wonder, will we be at this point where we can all of a sudden see the world that we've deemed as silly, superstition, myth? It's an odd two worlds colliding, a very technological world and then a very spiritual world. We'll be able to all of a sudden see things like that. Will you be able to see, like there was a study recently released that people actually glow in the dark, but our eyes just can't see the glow. It's too faint for us to pick up on, but we actually do glow in the dark. Go look it up. That's a real thing. I just read about it. So it just makes you wonder what's going to happen from there. Again, not so dark. In fact, that's very luminescent. It's very light. You'll be able to see. That's fantastic. But let's keep moving on. We're moving on to the next one. This is where the patients actually meet, which I find pretty good. I want to tell you guys about the dark stuff, but I also want to talk about the good side, because there is a good side to this whole thing. I have to be honest.
As of today, we have not just one, but 7 participants, and we have an approval. And we also have an approval to launch this trial in Canada, UK, and the UAE. So I guess before we dive into what this technology is and what we built, but I wanted to quickly share a video with you guys of when our first 5 participants met each other for the first time. So here you go.
All right. We have everyone together.
What's up, guys?
Thanks everybody for joining. Definitely want to introduce all of you.
Yeah, I'm Nolan, aka P1.
My name's Alex. I am the second participant in the NeuroLink study.
I am Brad Smith, the ALS cyborg P3.
My name is Mike, G4, have ALS like practice.
Yeah, I'm RJ. I'm P5, and I guess I'm kind of the newest one to the team here. So yeah, appreciate it, Nolan, trailblazer. You know, somebody's got to go first, man. That was you. Appreciate that.
What's been your favorite thing you've been able to do with the NeuroLink so far?
I've just had a good time being able to use it as I travel, flying and drawing a little mustache on a cat. Had a lot of fun doing that. I mean, I've just had a good time playing around with it. Oh, you know what? I do know what my favorite BCI feature is. Probably not a feature, but I love WebGrid more than I love anything in my life, probably. I think I could play that game nonstop forever.
Has to be.
Looks like Nolan likes bong hits too. Just saying. It looks like he enjoys bong hits as well. I gotta be honest. You know what I mean? hey, I'd be all in if I was one of these guys. Why not embrace the world at this point?
I'm playing around with it. Oh, you know what? I do know what my favorite BCI feature is. Probably not a feature, but I love WebGrid more than I love anything in my life, probably. I think I could play that game nonstop forever.
Has to be Fusion 360. Being able to design parts. Design the hat logo with the BCI.
Oh, that's what's up.
Pretty sweet.
That's sweet. Yeah.
Yep. I have a little Arduino that takes input from my quad stick, converts it into a PPM signal to go to a RC truck.
Cool.
Little rock crawler. Well, cool. With the BCI, I wrote code to drive the plane with the quad stick.
That's awesome.
The best thing I like about NeuroLink is being able to continue to provide for my family and continue working.
I think my favorite thing is probably being able to turn on my TV. Yeah, like the first time in 2.5 years, I was able to do that. So it's a pretty sweet move. I like shooting zombies. That's kind of nice. Excited to see what BCI's got going on.
I got a question. What's your shirt say?
I said I do a thing called whatever I want.
Man, see, like that is the good side of this whole thing, right? I mean, these guys get to one guy, you can see like he seems like he's bedridden. That one guy who had a little bit of speech issue, but he still wants to provide for his family. Like that's just, that's amazing. Like, yeah, just so amazing. And the other guy that was laid up in a bed as well, he's completely paralyzed. He still wants to provide for his kids. He still wants to play and be there for his kids. It's just, man, that is the really good side of this whole thing. I got to be honest, right? I mean, you guys know, if you watch me enough, I'm always talking about AI and, how we shouldn't be letting it take over. But for these guys in their situation, it's definitely a plus in their reality. Here, let's keep going. This is the next level gaming. See, now that we're getting progressively, now it's the good side. Now we're getting to the gaming, and then we're going to get into the reanimating the body.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, another really fun thing you could do with the NeuroLink device outside of controlling a computer cursor is you could actually plug it in through USB through a lot of different devices. And here we actually have Nolan playing Mario Kart. Now, what's special about this particular clip is Nolan is not the only cyborg playing Mario Kart in this clip. We actually have a whole community of users, as mentioned earlier, and this is literally 5 of our first users of NeuroLink playing Mario Kart together over call.
You know something else that's really interesting? This guy right here, he's actually a Christian and he's very religious. So it's very interesting to see him embracing technology to this wild degree, because he's going to go as deep as he can into this whole thing without threatening his own life. But then also he has this other part of him that feels like this was brought to him by God and brought to him because of his faith in God. So it's like, as he merges more and more, it's going to be this, you know, what I feel is almost like parallel of like, you're very machine-like, but then also at the same time, he has a very deep belief in God. And I just can't wait to see what that looks like as he takes form, because again, he's going to go as deep as he can.
Now, yeah, Mario Kart it's cool. You know, you're using one joystick and then you're clicking like a couple of buttons to throw items. What would be even cooler is what if you could control two joysticks at once simultaneously with your mind.
So that's the part we already saw. Now we're getting into the reanimation part. Now I want to play this. This is from that first gentleman that I just showed you, the guy who's actually religious. And I just want to play how he got his voice back, and then we'll start talking about body parts. Let's go.
Yeah. So we had recordings of his voice, and we were able to recreate a digital AI voice. That's been really fun to hear.
It is actually weird to hear my voice after years of not hearing it. I have been working with 11 Labs to do the voice work. I recorded myself reading some things on my phone years ago. The recordings were enough to make a pretty good copy of my voice. I always hated to hear my voice on recordings, but I don't mind it now. It also makes my friends and family really happy to hear my voice again.
Okay, you guys ready?
So if you don't know, 11 Labs is a AI dubbing website where you can dub your own voice. And this is a weird thing that none of us have had to think about before, but get a bunch of recordings of your voice, because, you know, you just never know what life's going to throw at you. And you'll have an option to bring your voice back like this guy potentially. Now, I just want to start playing around with the idea of, think about how deep this goes. This guy is fully in a wheelchair. He's paralyzed, right? He's going to be deeper into the computer, just like Nolan was saying, going to be able to do things with his mind, which he's already accomplishing. He has his voice back. What happens when we all start jumping into augmented reality? And now we have the glasses on, and you know, some of us aren't going to participate, but we have the glasses on, we're walking around, and all of a sudden he's going to have the ability to walk up to you in augmented reality and say, "Hey, what's going on? How you doing?" He's going to be able to have a conversation with you. He's still going to be at his house, but if you're someone who's plugged in with the augmented reality, kind of like Pokemon Go, you know, when you're just shining, you put in the phone certain places and something would pop up. If you have the glasses on, you'd be able to see him like he was just a present person. Like, it's going to start getting that deep and even deeper, because we're not done yet. Let's keep going here.
And you're about to see him and his uncle playing a game.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. That was scissors. I like bullshit. Some more?
Cool. Controlling, yeah, that's pretty dope. I don't know. Controlling a robotic hand on screen is obviously not super helpful for most people. Fortunately, we have connections with Tesla, who have the Optimus hand, and we're actually actively working on giving Alex an Optimus hand so that you could actually control it in his real life. And here's the actual replay of the end of that video using Alex's neural signals on an Optimus hand. Sean, if you want to play that. Yeah.
Now, think about that. Like, it goes even deeper than what I was just saying. Forget augmented reality. If they're at the point right now where this guy can control one hand, because they're processing, they're in the process of giving him one hand that he can control and do things with. Eventually, they're going to get to a whole robot. So now, forget about the augmented reality. This guy's going to be able to walk up to you as a robot, and he's just going to be at home. And he's going to be able to converse with you and sit down with you and buy you a coffee, which he scans with his palm because he doesn't have a wallet. He just goes doo-doo-doo, because that's going to become a thing more and more. It gets so deep with what's possible. Also, something you may not have taken in from that clip, when they're talking about actually controlling the hand, they did a replay from what that guy did. So they're able to record not just his voice, not just him in a video moving around, but actually record his movements into a hand. Imagine we get to a point in the future where your movements are so recorded that you won't be able to lie about anything. You'll be like, I didn't do that. And they'll be like, well, we have 2 Tesla bots right here. We have your neuro movements and everything like that, the synapses in your brain and all that. So let's see the 2 robots act it out. And then the robot goes like this and goes like that. And you're like, oh, that was you. That's what you did. We have it on recording. It goes past video. It just gets into a weird world, man. But let's move on to the darkest prediction. Actually, wait, does Elon Musk talk about it a little more? Let's see.
As we advance the NeuroLink devices, you should be able to actually have full body control and sensors from an Optimus robot. So you could basically inhabit an Optimus robot. It's not just the hand, the whole thing. So you could basically mentally remote into an Optimus robot and be kind of cool. The future is going to be weird. But pretty cool. And then now, another thing that can be done also is for people that have, say, lost a limb, lost an arm or a leg or something like that, then we think in the future we'll be able to attach an Optimus arm or legs. And so you kind of I don't know if you remember that scene from Star Wars where Luke Skywalker gets his hand, chopped off with a lightsaber, and he gets kind of a robot hand. And I think that's the kind of thing that we'll be able to do in the future, working with NeuroLink and Tesla. So that it goes far beyond just operating a robot hand, but replacing limbs and having kind of a whole body robot experience. And then I think another thing that will be possible, I think is very likely in the future, is to be able to bridge the where the damaged neurons are. So you can take the signal from the brain and transmit that signal past where the neurons are damaged or strained to the rest of the body. So you could reanimate the body, so that if you have a NeuroLink implant in the brain and then one in the spinal cord, then you can actually bridge the signals and you could walk again and have full body functionality. Obviously, that's what people would prefer, to be clear. We realize that would be the preferred outcome. And so that even if you have a broken neck, or you could still, we believe, I'm actually, at this point, I'd say fairly confident that at some point in the future, we'll be able to restore full body functionality.
Now, what we're hearing is robotic limbs, people putting their consciousness, for the most part, into a robot. And obviously, it's more that the guy's controlling it. He's in one place, it's in another place. But we're talking about robots now being controlled by paralyzed humans. And that's another thing. How long is it going to stay paralyzed? And I don't mean it. I'm not calling a person it. I'm like, how long is the concept going to be pushed towards people who are paralyzed and injured? When it comes to this whole blind sight thing where you can see all sorts of spectrum and radar and infrared and stuff, there's regular people that are going to jump on board. You think they're not going to make a case for a soldier to have that type of thing? And then he's going to be a civilian walking around? and he's going to have that. You think there's not going to be someone who's rich that wants to have that type of thing? They're completely open about what they're doing. You think another company's not going to make it and say, hey, this is just for regular people? We're not even focused on people who are injured. You there with 20/20 vision, you want better vision? Come on in. You want a robot limb? Let's do it. We'll cover it in skin, same color as your regular skin. Or you can go blackface. You can go black fist if you'd like. You can white people walking around. Hey man, what are you wearing black fist for? I like black fist. What are you going to do about it, huh? It's going to be a very big issue, man. But it goes a little deeper because as you're hearing all this, you're hearing Elon Musk say in the future. So back in the day, back in the 90s, when we would hear in the future, that meant in 30 years. When you hear in the future now, it is not the same thing. You are not hearing the same words at all. You're hearing something very different. Now, they're going over their timeline in this whole thing. And I want you to listen really close because this is where their darkest prediction comes out. Listen to this.
Consoles. Next quarter, we're planning to implant in the speech cortex to directly decode attentive words from brain signals to speech. And in 2026, not only are we going to triple the number of electrodes from 1,000 to 3,000 for more capabilities, we're planning to have our first blind sight participant to enable navigation. And in 2027, we're going to continue increasing channel counts, probably another triple, so 10,000 channels, and also enable, for the first time, multiple implants. So not just one in motor cortex, speech cortex, or visual cortex, but all of the above. And finally, in 2028, our goal is to get to more than 25,000 channels per implant, have multiple of these, have ability to access any part of the brain for psychiatric conditions, pain, dysregulation, and also start to demonstrate what it would be like to actually integrate with AI.
Now, when he says innovate with AI, that is it. That is exactly what Joe Rogan's been talking about. That's what everybody's been fearing. That is the part. And what year did he say? 2028. That's not that far off. When you hear in the future, you're thinking, what, 2040? No, not at all. Even that would be a short time. But he's talking about an even shorter time. 2028, they're going to see things like that happening. And when we talk about using AI, we're talking about it's Elon, so he's not really going to go with ChatGPT, but we're talking about large language models being installed potentially, external hard drives of thought to have potentially perhaps a whole other hard drive that's in Spanish. Then you got one that's in English. Not making it up. That's an actual thing that they're working on right now. Not just languages, but having a cloud that's not for your phone and your pictures, but for your mind. So that's where they're going with that. Then you take actually being able to control robots with your mind. Then we go back. I remember I said I wanted you to remember this part. Then we go back to Nolan here. Nolan talking about not realizing that he could just do something with his mind, and then all of a sudden the computer did it. The program did it, right? That was him experimenting as the first person. Now they control things with their mind effortlessly. What happens when all of a sudden it goes deeper? This is something we haven't talked about. We keep talking about AI going deeper. We keep talking about AI getting loose into the internet and doing all sorts of things, bots and whatnot. What happens when someone like him cannot just look at a computer and do things? What happens when he can go into the settings of a computer? What happens when he can interact with the motherboard? What happens when he can interact with the code of a website and start altering it? What happens when he can go into the internet itself? He can go into Instagram and start commenting things, start getting into people's accounts. This goes very deep. And again, that to you might sound silly, but remember what they were just talking about. what they were just talking about here. They were talking about inputting more. So right now, in terms of like Noland has 1,000. By 2028, they want people to have 25,000, and we'll just call them connections just for layman's terms. 25,000 connections. Noland realized he could do something with his mind with just 1,000. Forget about what they're telling you, that what they're hoping you'll be able to do. When they hit 25,000, there will be things that they didn't even fathom that people will be able to do. Again, this is not going to stay to just the injured people. This is the whole thing that Rogan's constantly talking about. This brings about what Rogan's talking about. And Elon Musk says this will help with defense in regards to AGI coming to fruition and a group of people having enough power to actually control it. But I don't know. I do not know. This isn't a bunch of people with whips and spears versus a lion. This is something way different. This is like 100 people trying to tame a tidal wave. I don't know if that's possible. So this is a very interesting development. Again, this is from the summit, the NeuroLink Update Summit 2025. This just dropped, and I expect we're going to hear Joe Rogan talk about this in the coming weeks. I think he's going to get wind of this. I mean, he knows Elon Musk. He's very interested in this type of thing, but just for this week, this past week, this is definitely something that he missed that I think that you all need to hear about. We got to start thinking about this, man. We got to start thinking about what's going on. And again, just remember, there's some people out there as I tell this whole thing, as I say this, and they're like, this sounds great. I would do this. Of course there's people that think that. Of course, and I wouldn't blame you at all. Of course it sounds good. I can't lie. I would love to be able to see in infrared and then switch it and be able to see in radar and then switch it and be able to see in Technicolor and then switch it and be able to see in black and white. I would love that, you know? But it all comes at a price. And I don't think we quite know what that price is yet. You know, we're seeing the flash of the product, but the price tag is still a little blurry. For these gentlemen who are just getting into it, guys like this, it's completely understandable. But what does it mean for the rest of us? And again, these guys, these regular dudes, they're going to be hopping in robots soon. You know what I mean? Oh, man. And just think about this. Let's just even go in even deeper with the tinfoil right now. The tinfoil Speedo. You didn't take it off, did you? I hope not. Go a little deeper. These guys are playing Call of Duty. What's to stop these guys from being in a robot and actually being in a war scenario? I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know if that's the good part of this or the bad part of this, but it's definitely a thing. Think about what they're doing right now. They're just running around in Call of Duty, and whatever they look at, they shoot. That's how it works for them. They look at something and they shoot it. Imagine some country gets a control of that and starts having people out in the field that just have to look and they hit their target. Look and hit their target. Ah, man. Anyways, guys, I'm out.